Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are just gonna play with some new makeup. I have so many video ideas that we keep on like a Word document when I plan my videos, and I had another video in mind for today. I was thinking like, oh, but I don't know if I want to film that. I kind of want to just play with some new makeup that I just got in PR and also reuse some new makeup that I recently bought that you guys have seen me talk about in some of my previous videos from last week. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna film that. So that's what we're gonna do today. There are certain products that are new that I've already used on camera, but I want to reuse because I'm excited about them. And then other things that just came in PR that I am so excited to try. One of those being this new Kosas setting powder. It's a baked powder. I'm so excited about it. Another thing that I have been really excited to try is the new Urban Decay Naked Wild West eyeshadow palette. So those are just a couple of the brand new things we're going to be trying. The rest of it is a mix between things that I've used on my Instagram stories, and then there's some old favorites in here as well. Let's start with the eyes. I'm going to be using my NARS eyeshadow primer in light. I have already filled in my brows, and I used my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. Today's a good day. I'm just feeling like really excited to dip into some of these products again, really excited to try out the couple brand new products that I have. So I hope you guys are having a great day as well, and I hope your week is going well so far. I feel like it's always important, you know, all of us stay so busy, so I'm really grateful if you're watching this right now. I feel like I should just thank you, first of all, for watching my video because you are the one who allows me to do this every day. But also, I hope while you're watching this that you're able to take just a little bit of time for yourself today. I know so many of us are so busy, and I hope that watching this video or doing your makeup alongside of me just helps you kind of have a little bit of a break from all of our responsibilities throughout the day. So if you want to do your makeup with me, just press pause, go grab your makeup, and we'll get ready together. I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Naked Wild West palette. This is a brand new palette, and it's their first fully vegan palette, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, which is really great. So here's the color scheme. It's neutral browns with pops of blue. I think this kind of a color scheme actually is something that's really approachable and wearable for a lot of people. I mean, the blue adds something a little bit different, but in my opinion, blue is really easy to incorporate with like other neutral shades if you want to, especially if you just want a pop of blue on the lower lash line. So I do like the color scheme, and I'm excited to see how this wears, or how it like performs, I guess I should say. Okay, let's see. What do we want to do here? I'm going to be using the brush that comes in the palette. We're going to start off with this shade right here. This is called Nudie. I'm going to tap off the excess and start to blend this into the crease a little bit. You guys probably know by now that I like to start all of my makeup looks with some sort of a transition shade. I'm going to do the same thing on this eye. I'm just building up that shade a little bit more, focusing it in that crease, and then buffing it out toward the end of the brow and up toward the front of the brow right here as well. I'm really gravitated toward this shade right here called Laredo. I'm going to take the same brush, and I'm going to start to kind of create a bit of definition on the outer portion of the lid and into the crease as well. I really like that shade. It's like a cool toned taupey brown color. Same thing on this eye. So far these are blending out really well. I usually experience that with Urban Decay mattes. I feel like their matte shadow formulas are usually very, very easy to work with and blend out. I'm just gently kind of sweeping it out toward the edge, blending it into that first shade that we used in the transition just to kind of create a seamless gradient up to the brow. Okay, I really, really like that shade. I don't know if I have a color quite like this one. I'm genuinely loving it. Okay, now this is where we gotta figure out what we want to do on the lid. I actually love how many mattes are in here. I honestly feel like you could do an incredible makeup look with just matte shadows from this palette, which I would love to try sometime, but not in this tutorial. I want to definitely dip into some of the shimmers. Let me swatch some. So I'm going to kind of see what the gold looks like just on the back of my hand. This one is called Hold'em. It's a really pretty, just warm gold. Then there's like a taupey silver called Cowboy Rick. That looks nice as well. Right here, I'm not sure if that's really picking up on camera. So there's like a warm tone and a cool tone. Then there's Rustler, which is like a true bronze. Ooh, I kind of like that one. And then this one made me smile. This one is a blue called Bud. And I don't know if they meant that as like a flower bud or like calling someone bud, because that is something that my family has called each other for years. We'll be like, Bud. So it made me smile when I saw that shade name. And that's a gorgeous kind of teal blue. You know what? I always want to use like a blue on the lower lash line, but maybe I should just go and put it on lid. So I think I'm going to use Bud on the eyelid. I'm just going to take that on my finger and start to press that onto the lid. It's actually really nice. I feel like it's a pretty wearable blue. I'm just going to make sure that the edges are blended with this. That's kind of pretty. It's not anything too intense. Like, it's not a cobalt blue. It's a little bit more muted, but it's obviously still noticeable. So let's do the same thing on this eye. I have always found with any shimmer, it's always best to apply it with your fingers. I think that's how you get the best payoff. But especially with the Urban Decay shimmer formulas, I've always found that like fingers are the best way to apply them. Okay, I'm just going back in with the brush. I didn't add any product to it. I'm just making sure that those edges are blended. Next, I'm going to take my pinky and dip into the shade Cowboy Rick. And I'm going to apply this on like the inner third of the top lid to kind of create a little bit more dimension and gradient leading into that blue shade that we just applied. This is actually a gorgeous shade. It has a lot more glitter reflect than what I thought it would, but in the best way. I'm just continuing to build that up on that inner third. All right, I'm taking an angled brush and dipping into this deep teal blue called Tex. I just felt like this look needed a little bit of definition along the lash line to just kind of ground all these colors. So I'm just taking an angled brush, I didn't wet it or anything, and I'm just creating a shadow liner across the entire top lid. Well, I attempted to wing out the edges, but I don't know if that really turned out the way I was thinking it would. But I actually really love how the color of that liner looks up against the lash line. I'm taking my finger and applying a little bit more of the shade Bud right in the center of the lid and then a little bit outside of it. Because I feel like after we applied the Cowboy Rick shade, some of that intensity went away and I still want to be able to really see a bit of that teal color when I open my eyes. Okay, I am just going to clean up the fallout with a makeup wipe. And then I'm going to take my finger and just press down the edges so there's not too much of a harsh line on this outer edge here. Okay, and then I'm going to put Top Lash Mascara on. I've been dying to try this. It was sent to me a while ago and I've heard such good things about it. This is the new Lancome Lash Idol Mascara. I just wanted to try it today, so I'm going to apply this to just the top lashes for now. I really like the shape of this brush, actually. It's got a nice curve to it. It feels very comfortable and natural as I'm applying it. Oops, I got some on the lid. Oh well. It seems to create very like fluffy, defined, and separated lashes, which looks really pretty. So far so good on that. I mean, obviously mascara for me, I have to do a wear test, which I won't be recording my wear test today, but I will make sure to leave a note in the description on how the mascara wore. Okay, next I'm going to apply a little bit of moisturizer. This is my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which I have been using and obsessed with all over again. But the reason why I wanted to prep the skin with a moisturizer is because on my Instagram stories, I recently did a little makeup tutorial and I tried out a new primer and I really enjoyed how it felt and how it looked during the time that I wore it. So I wanted to use it again, but I did notice that it kind of felt like it needed a moisturizer underneath it, in my opinion. But I'm gonna use it again because my makeup looked amazing on top. So this is the new One Size Beauty Secure the Blur Makeup Magnet Primer. I love the packaging on this. I'm just gonna put a little bit into my fingers. I feel like a little bit goes a really long way with this. And I am going to focus this for myself just in the T-zone because that's where I get oily. And that's where I want to have a little bit more of like a blurred effect when it comes to my makeup. I don't need my cheeks to look that way. So I'm just going to focus it on the nose, on the chin, and on the forehead. So I also recently got such a nice package from Rare Beauty, which I was so excited about. And they sent me their foundation brush, which I have been dying to try. So I thought I would try it out in today's video, and I felt like I should use it with my Rare Beauty foundation. So I'm gonna give that a good shake, and then I wear the shade 130N. But I'm just gonna dot this all over the face. I feel like I need extra coverage along the jawline today. Let's try this brush out. I have always wanted to try it because the shape looks really unique. So we're gonna give it a whirl. It's very soft. I really, really like the shape and size of it. It's not too big. Sometimes foundation brushes can be on the larger side, but this one's not at all. Okay, that blended out nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and press that into the skin with my EcoTools biodegradable sponge, which I'm still loving. The more I use this Rare Beauty foundation, the more I realize like less is more with it. I feel like obviously you can build up the coverage if you want, but when you apply as little as possible, it looks so natural and lasts really well on the skin. They also sent their concealer brush, so naturally I wanted to use their concealer with their concealer brush. I was also really wanting to reuse my Jones Road concealers. but I wanted to try the brush, and I feel like the Jones Road concealers work best with your fingers. So I'm using this shade 130N in this Rare Beauty concealer as well. Just dotting this under the eyes. I put a little bit of concealer on the blemishes on my jawline, but the concealer is slightly lighter, so I'm going back in with a bit more foundation. And I'm just going to spot conceal those and blend it in with a sponge. Okay, now that that's blended, I'm going to take the Rare Beauty concealer brush and start to blend this out. Wow, I love the shape of that because you can really get into this corner right here. And it's got a bit of like a domed shape to it, which helps blend it out so nicely. Wow, I really, really like this brush. Sometimes with brushes, I feel like it's hard to know whether it's worth it or not, you know? Because if you're like me and you already have a lot of brushes, it's hard to know like which ones would add to your collection or whatever. I feel like for me, this one really does add to my collection because I don't have one that's shaped quite this way. And obviously you don't have to use it only when you use like the Rare Beauty concealer. You can use it for a lot of different things, any sort of concealer. I could also see myself using it on the eyelid to kind of buff out eyeshadow primer. I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm just going over with my sponge to make sure that there's no brush lines. There were not any brush lines, but sometimes I like to use the sponge to just add a little bit more of a dewy finish underneath the eyes. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, at least I've been waiting for this. I'm dying to try this. The color of the packaging, just everything about this new Kosas Cloud Set powder is calling my name. They sent me 3 different shades. I feel like I might be this one. Maybe I'll use a little bit of the shade Airy, which is the lightest shade. I might use 2. Maybe I'll use one under the eyes. Ooh, that's nice. That might be really nice for underneath the eyes, actually. So let's start with that. I'm going to take a small brush and just dip into this. Oh, it looks so nice. And apparently, I was reading, apparently there's skincare infused and baked into the powders, which is so nice. So it's supposed to like improve your skin over time. All right, I'm just pressing that underneath the eyes to set. It looks very smoothing, feels very lightweight. So far, I'm really liking how that's looking. I'm just swirling the brush into the pan, and then I'm gonna apply this shade in the T-zone, just because that's where I usually want a little bit of a brighter complexion. They feel so buttery, like it's not a drying feeling kind of formula, which makes me so excited. Okay, we're gonna take the slightly deeper shade called Breezy. I'm gonna take a bigger brush with this, and I'm just gonna kind of swirl that in. You can see how finely milled it is once you work your brush into it. I'm just going to apply this to the outsides of the face, kind of pressing it, and then once I feel like there's enough powder, I'm just gonna buff this into the complexion. Okay, my skin feels set, but it does not feel tight in any way. And when I actually touch my complexion, you can almost feel the butteriness of this powder. The same way you can feel it in the pan, it like feels like that on your skin too, but still feels set. Oh, it's such a cool formula. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Okay, so now that that's all over the skin, I do this with every powder, but I'm just gonna gently take my sponge and press over that to make sure that there's no powdery finish. There's not a powdery finish, but I'm just in the habit of doing this. Wow. I think that really kind of smoothed out the complexion. I'm so excited about these. Oh, plus that clear lavender packaging, amazing, like to die for. So I'm really excited about that. By the way, it comes in so many different shades. I'll just show you guys right here. So here's Airy, which is the one that I personally used. And then their deepest shade is called Dreamy, which is this one right here. So the range is very nice. There's definitely something in here for everyone because it's more of a sheer powder as well. Wow, I'm excited. Okay, let's move back to the eyes. I'm actually going to start off with that matte blue shade in the Urban Decay Wild West palette. This is called Tex, and I'm wanting this to be right up against the lower lash line. I want a bit of that definition on the lower lash line as well. I just think it'll really help complete the look I'm going for. And again, I'm keeping this pretty tight up against those lashes. Okay, now I'm going to take that taupey color called Laredo, and I'm going to buff this right underneath that blue shade, just to kind of smoke it out along that lower lash line a little bit more. I do feel like I need to dip into the shade Nudie, which was the shade we used on the top lid as a transition. And I'm going to buff this even lower, just so that all the tones match, going from the top lid to the lower lash line. Making sure to kind of connect it out here. Okay, I actually really like how that looks. I don't think I'm going to add anything else. I'm going to go in with my Lancome mascara again on the lower lashes. Yeah, I definitely really like the shape of this wand. It makes it so easy to apply. Dipping back into that glittery silver shade called Cowboy Rick, and I'm wanting this to be my inner corner highlight. It's a little bit glittery, but I don't mind that for the inner corner actually. I think it looks really nice. Okay, taking the powder brush that we used under the eyes and just buffing away any fallout. Just brushing up the brows a bit. Sometimes when I do my makeup, I feel like my brows get moved around and lose some of their definition. So I always like to kind of revisit them sometimes as I'm doing my makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Maybelline City Bronzer. I recently used this in a video and it's just on my desk again. It's been so long since I've like kept this in my routine, and after using it the other day, I was reminded of how beautiful this formula is. So I'm gonna warm up the complexion with this. Okay, after I have applied the bronzer, I'm just going over with the same powder brush that I used with the Kosas powders and just blending the edges. Okay, so this is actually a product that I bought the other day. I used to use this formula quite often, like years ago. This is the Stila Convertible Color Cream Blush. I used to have the shade Peony, but I picked up the shade Lilium. I've just been seeing so many makeup artists use this, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to revisit that formula, because when I first picked it up years ago, I don't think I was really into cream products or knew how to use them the way that I do now, but it's a really nice kind of neutral shade. So I just dipped the bottom of my sponge into this, and I'm just gonna kind of press this onto the cheeks. The thing that's nice about this, I find, this formula at least, it works really well if you've set the face, like it doesn't move things around if you're careful, which I always like in a cream formula. Like I want something that will work over powders if I have powders on, and then also over liquids. And I find that this formula really does that. This is a new color to me though, and I think it's a really nice, natural, soft, peachy shade. Ooh, I think that looks really nice. It's not too overpowering. It looks really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off any foundation that's on the lips. And Rare Beauty also sent me a few other products. They sent me a bunch of their liquid blushes, which I also love. But they also sent me some of their lip products too. I've tried this formula, but I haven't tried this shade. This is their matte lip cream in the shade Courage. And I felt like it might look really nice with the eyeshadow palette. So I'm gonna apply this just to make sure, and then I'll finish up the rest of the look. Oh yeah, that's definitely a really nice nude shade. It's got a bit of a mauvey undertone, which I really like. I really do enjoy this formula though. It's so comfortable, and if you have some of the deeper shades, it actually leaves a stain. I'm not sure if this one leaves a stain or not, but I really do like the formula. I'm wanting to kind of define it with something deeper, so I'm using my Persona Rosewood lip liner, kind of mixing those two together. I'm gonna use my Essence Pure Nude Highlighter today, a tried and true favorite of mine, and I'm just gonna add this to the high points of the face. Okay, next to kind of add a little bit more natural drama to the look, I'm going to take these Kiss lashes, which I recently picked up. If you guys didn't see the shop with me video where I tried these out, I will have it in the description box, but these are amazing. Spoiler alert. They're the Kiss Look So Natural Lash Trios. I'm just going to take my clear duo lash glue. I'm going to put some in the little glue pocket that they have at the bottom. And then I'm gonna start applying these. So last time I did 3 mediums and then a short. I think I'm gonna do the same thing because I really liked how that looked. So I just dipped it into the glue and then took my tweezers and plopped it onto the lash line. Starting in the outer portion, I feel like that's always easiest for me. And the glue is white, but it will dry clear. Another tip that I learned the hard way, when you're using tweezers with lashes, individual lashes specifically, don't pull them out with the tweezer. I did that and I completely ruined the lash trio. It just like completely twisted and looked really weird. So just another little pointer. Okay, so while I wait for that glue to dry, I'm gonna touch up the brows one more time. I'm gonna just reapply a little bit of blush with what's left on the sponge, kind of over top of the highlighter to blend the two. And then of course I'm gonna add a little bit of bronzer. I mean, I didn't dip back into the pan. I'm just using what's left on the brush to make sure everything looks balanced. I think the highlighter looks okay, so let's go ahead and set the face. I've been into this all over again, the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I'm just gonna go ahead and spritz the entire face with this. And then I'm gonna go back over everything with my sponge just to make sure everything is blended and the setting spray is pressed in. And then I am gonna go back into the Kosas powder in the shade Airy, which is the lighter shade. I always like to do this after setting spray, just take a powder, kind of smooth out the T-zone a little bit. I'm so excited about this formula. I think it looks so nice. Okay, let's go ahead and set the brows. I'm just gonna use my trusty old Benefit brow setter. Okay, so here's the final makeup look. I really love how this turned out. I wanted to come a little closer to the camera so you could see. Let's talk about the new things that I tried. Obviously the stuff I reused, I really do enjoy. I feel like that primer really does smooth things out, so I'm excited to keep using this. Again, I will have notes in the description box as far as how all this wore throughout the rest of the night. Let's go one by one though. The Urban Decay Wild West palette Honestly, I like this more than I thought I would. If this were not sent to me, I don't think I would have picked this up myself just because I have so many eyeshadow palettes. So when buying a new eyeshadow palette, that's always an important thing to ask yourself, like, is this something that adds to your collection? For me, I don't think it really adds to my collection, but that doesn't mean it's not a good palette. If you're somebody who doesn't really do eyeshadow looks all the time, or when you do use eyeshadow, it's neutral matte shades, I think you would get a lot of use out of this. If you want to dip into some color, but you really don't use color often, again, I think this is just enough color for those types of people. I think it's also a softer approach to color. I'm not saying in any way that these colors weren't pigmented, they definitely were, but all the colors themselves are a little bit more muted. So if you're a beginner in makeup or you're just starting to try out different eyeshadows and you want a lot of neutral mattes, there's a good mix of cool and warm tones in here too, but you also want to play with a little bit of color maybe, or a little bit more of a glamorous look, I think this palette would be great for somebody like that. The blue in here, like on the lid, is not one of the most intense blues that I've personally ever tried, but maybe people don't want a super intense blue. So again, really nice, blended out really easily, a little bit of a softer approach to a colorful makeup look that I personally feel like is very wearable. And with a color range like that, you can't really mess it up. Yeah, I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I really like how my eye makeup turned out. It's not too over the top, but it's different. Like, it feels pretty with the blue, but it's not like, oh my gosh, in your face blue eyeshadow. You know what I mean? Moving on to the Kosas powder, I mean, you guys saw my initial reaction, and as of now, I'm so excited about this. It feels so buttery in the pan and on the skin. I am so excited to keep using this. I think my skin looked so blurred and diffused after using this. It worked great as a setting powder. Normally these types of baked products I typically use as a finishing powder, but I don't feel like I would need to use this as a finishing powder. I think it really stands on its own. I'm honestly thrilled about that. Let's talk about what I thought would have been just a little like side product that ended up being one of my favorite things on my face right now, and that's this lip color. Again, I am very familiar with this formula. I really enjoy the formula. It's a very comfortable matte whipped kind of feeling lipstick, but this shade, oh my gosh, I don't know why I never picked this shade up in the first place. I love it. I feel like I could definitely see myself using this often, and I think it worked beautifully with the eye look. I'm actually obsessed with the blush that I recently bought too from Stila. I'm excited about this, and it makes me want to go pick up the other shade that I used to have and maybe some of their other shades that I've never tried before either. I think it's a really beautiful cream formula. It gives that glow. It had just the right amount of pigmentation to where you don't really go overboard, but it also works well over powder products. For the mascara, I really liked the applicator on this. Mascaras for me take a while to develop an opinion on, but I will leave a note if it smudged or flaked. I've heard good things about this, so I do have high hopes, but the application was very nice. It created a very natural, separated, lifted lash look, which I could see a lot of people enjoying. It wasn't quite as chunky and voluminous as mascaras that I personally go for, especially when I'm doing a look like this, but I feel like once I added the lashes on, I got the look that I wanted and then some, so yeah, I wasn't disappointed in this, but I will have to keep testing it and wearing it to see how it holds up throughout the day. Alright you guys, so that completes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love how my makeup turned out. I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down and reusing some of these products and then trying some new things that I've been dying to test out as well, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. I would love to know what your thoughts were on the products that I tried. What do you guys think about the new Naked Wild West palette? Are you into it? Are you gonna skip it? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!